Welcome to Real Herbalism Radio, show 231, recorded at Big Dog Studios in Eugene, Oregon. Today's show is made possible by Sacred Blossom Farm and over in Wisconsin with Tony DiMaggio, herbal gardener, herbal farmer. He sent us some samples, and one of the samples we got was Dream. Boy, I tell you, after looking at it, the colors on this stuff is amazing. The purples and golds and greens. I mean, I've never seen herbs in this condition before, in a bottle, in a package. They're amazing. So I did try some, and boy, it did put me to sleep. So if you're interested, sacredblossomfarm.com, and if you go there, you'll get 15% off. Just use the coupon code REALHERB15. That's all caps, so it's REALHERB 15. Sacred Blossom Farm. And again, if you purchase from them, you get the discount, but we also get a little bit as well to help support the Practical Herbalist and Real Herbalism Radio. And now, here are your hosts.
I'm Candace Hunter.
I'm Patrick Hunter.
And welcome to Real Herbalism Radio.
So do you like being in business with me?
Well, no, actually, I really do.
No, be honest, because it's a challenge for both of us. We've been married for 27 years now, going on 27 years?
Yeah, we're working on 27, baby.
Ooh, right? And we've been in business together in one way or another since 2006.
That sounds about right.
2005. I mean, we used to have freelance businesses that were on the side.
Yeah, we had side businesses side hustles, plus we had primary careers that were separate.
They were separate, but they were never.
And then they weren't.
and you've been a support person in one business for 3 or 4 years, and then we started the Practical Herbalist in 2008, and that was where we really, became entwined business-wise. And then as Mudpaw has grown, you've been involved in that too. And
yeah,
so we've been partners in life, partners in business. And I'll be honest, you and I accept things from each other that we would never accept from a business partner, like outside of the family.
Yeah, that was one of the things that I found fascinating about listening to Rin talk a little bit, both, while we were recording and in some of when we were talking, off recording, just about the fact that he didn't come from an entrepreneurial family.
Right.
You, I, Katja. We all had at least a little bit of experience in that. I mean, your mom supported your family. Yeah. And my parents did the same. Mm-hmm. So we were all in with business. Our families expected the business to cover everything. There was no side hustle. The business was the side hustle.
Side hustle.
So we kind of knew. So I think what I noticed when my parents went into business, because they came from families that were not entrepreneurial directly. Mm-hmm. And what they noticed and what became really hard is that being in business together is really intense. There are things you didn't expect you to ever be dealing with, and then there you are. They're right in your lap, and you're doing it.
Right. I mean, not only are you dealing with the home finances and money and stuff, because you have to bring them, but then you have your business finances.
Yes.
And just a simple thing of, which would seem simple, just to take on a building or a space on lease. Suddenly, because you're doubling your as a sole proprietor, you're doubling your outgoing without necessarily have doubled or tripled your incoming.
Right. And when you're not running the business yourself, you're working for somebody else who's running the business. That somebody else is responsible for all of that, is responsible for figuring out how to market it and bring customers in the door, is responsible for figuring out how to keep all the numbers straight and report them to the IRS properly. They're responsible for all the legal structures and insurances and contracts, and all that stuff is somebody else's problem. And maybe if you're a bookkeeper, you do a piece of that, but then you're not the one providing the service, or you as working for someone, you have one hat that you have to wear. And when you're a business owner, you've got 3 hats that you have to wear, that each hat has an array of responsibilities for it. So it's challenging. And the first time you realize, you're like running your own business and you step into that, if you didn't come from a family where you saw that was what was happening, it's a little bit of a shock.
And it is hard to separate, business from home. When, especially in our case, for many years, the businesses was at home.
Yeah.
And even got to the point where, because of the space in our home, we decided to make our living room our office.
Oh, I remember
so
the days.
So you'd have to walk through to go to the kitchen from the bedroom through the office.
Yeah, you walk through the office to get to work or to get a drink, whatever. I also remember times where you were working and I was on the couch watching TV and we're listening to a movie or something together, but you're working. And there were times where the movie just has to stop and everybody's got to get quiet because you had to take a phone call.
Yep.
And we're all in the same room together because there is no other room. And it's cold outside or it's too hot outside.
Yeah, and that's
crazy.
Just it. And, the other thing, too, is like you had mentioned, taking on an employee, which is a whole nother set of responsibilities. And that's the thing is that I think when people just go, and this is a general statement, but people just go to work, I don't think they realize the sacrifice and the time spent and the constant worry and the constant stress of owning a business.
Yeah.
They go in, they do their job, they have to do a good job, and they're stressed along with that, but then they leave, they go home. But, the owners at midnight or at home working at midnight to get more business in to drum up, come up with new ideas,
well, and
new
even
products,
even when you're not working directly, your business is like a child. You're never done parenting.
Oh, I know. I mean,
it's unrelenting.
You and I will sometimes even go to our friends' homes and it's funny because when you own a business and you're a sole proprietor or whatever, you beget other sole proprietors and business owners.
Oh, yeah.
So everything that you do together becomes a write-off in some way for somebody. And everyone talks about their businesses.
Yeah.
As much as people talk about how well their kids are doing in school or not doing in school, there's, I got to do this marketing thing. Hey, Patrick, do you know about this website? Hey, do you have this herbalism thing? I mean, so we're always talking about business in some capacity. It's rare that we are not talking about our business and moving it forward. I know when I was working corporate, people would say, what do you do? Oh, I'm an art director at a magazine. Oh, that sounds really cool. Yeah, it is really neat. Oh, hey, how the fish biting?
Yeah.
The conversation would say that's neat, or we would talk about the coolness of it, but we would never talk about a marketing strategy, new ways to sell this feature, things we were going to do.
If you were hanging out with a lot of designers, you guys might geek out on the latest font.
Right. Or what Photoshop has decided to do, or why is Adobe going to this new business model? And yeah, we would definitely have that, but it was never going to be.
It was different.
It wasn't in the same way now, where I get together with my friends and we go golfing, and half the golfing is about business solutions, and the other half is about, or a quarter of it's about how we can open up markets, and maybe the final quarter is, good shot on that last hole.
Right.
We don't really actually enjoy the game as much as it is a way for us to get out and walk and then talk about business again.
Yeah.
So you never really get to leave it as a business owner. So add that with your partner.
Yeah.
It's like it's always on.
It's intense, yeah.
You and I are just now, one thing, we talk about the effect of COVID on us, our society, our time frame. One thing that COVID has done for us as a positive has forced, really, me to slow down, not obsess about it as much, and every day, and having to be just like not at the office, or there's no point being at the office because the phone isn't ringing.
Right.
Yeah. I can do stuff for our businesses and stuff, but it was like at a point where it's like, I'm here because I need to keep up appearances, but
you needed the structure too, because you would have sunk fast, I think. That's a for sure statement. But I mean, I think everyone kind of needed that, so it's not a business owner thing as much.
But you and I, there were times where we had we still have them. I mean, the blowback from COVID isn't over.
No.
But there were times where we talked about what we were going to do with the house and what our plans were here and what we were going to do there, and
I remember
up our discussions onto things.
Yeah, I remember during the shelter in place, you actually watched a movie.
Yeah, I hadn't watched movies fully in a while.
No, because normally if you're not at your computer or with a computer on your lap doing something, you're looking at your phone, and a lot of times the things you're looking at your phone about are somehow related to informing what you're going to do next with your business.
Yeah, or checking email, or writing up a to-do list for the next day.
Like I said, informing
whatever.
what you're going to do next with your business. It's always work-related.
So I did take the time in COVID to do a few other things that were outside of, indirectly they're related to business because, there was some self-help stuff that I was doing, like the success principles with Jack Canfield, and starting to work on their exercise books to just move me up on things. I thought that was something to do that was outside of what I normally would have done given my normal schedule. So that was something. And I know you've done a few introspective things because of that. But in general, though, it's always business, and being married, it just puts that extra stress on that. And, because we have that foundation of our families being entrepreneurial. We knew what we were getting into. You know what the roller coaster is. Yeah,
and we both had corporate jobs, so we knew the difference between working for someone and working for yourself or for working on your own business. I mean, my father used to say that he actually was still working for someone. There's never really not working for. It's just you traded responsibility.
And I've told people that. It's like, sure, I don't have
this customer is your boss.
I have multiple bosses that want different things at different times and different requirements. And when you're catering to everybody, it's different. Especially in the business that I do, which is service based.
Yeah.
It's not you're worried about each individual. If I was just selling widgets, I'm worried about the customer, but not in the same capacity that I am when I'm trying to make sure that they're getting exactly what they need for their website or their business card or whatever. I'm just selling a widget. They take the widget and go.
Right.
So, but with our herbal business, that has been a challenge. I mean, you can speak to that too on that because it's been a long growth period. I mean, for many years, as many of you know, we had another person on this podcast.
Yeah.
And this last year was when she moved on to different things. And that was a big change. Now it became, 2 instead of 3.
Yeah. And I feel like suddenly all the responsibility for the success of this business fell on my shoulders, even though we share the business, of course. But I felt like, it suddenly became very real. And there were things that I had in mind that I thought we could do, but, not sharing the burden for a business with your partner in life is different than sharing the burden for a business with a business partner who doesn't live with you.
Yeah, and that can be obviously like anything, a benefit, and what's the opposite of benefit?
Detriment.
A detriment to that as well. If you get a partner that isn't vested in the total success of your business together, then they'll start to breed problems and but then and that's a hard one. Partnerships, we've done them, a couple of them now, and I would probably not tread into those waters again, I think, as for partnerships. other than
business
with
partner
you, just because you and I are locked in life as well, so
yeah when I make you mad, you can't just run off and say forget it. I'm
done.
I
do.
You try.
I do run off. Forget it. I'm out. I'm done. I'm out. I'm done. I'm out. And then I'll go outside, and I'll come back in, and then you'll just look at me. Are you done?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm done. It's exactly that. Sometimes you just have to just say, I'm done. I'm out. I quit. But it's just the words.
Oh, yeah.
Because the other person's looking at you like, you can't quit. You got nowhere else to go.
Good luck with that. Not to mention that running a business is in your blood. So,
Yeah. But, you were saying about you keeping the responsibility, having to take that on. Yeah, it did come to you because as you were the support person for me for MudPop for so many years, I then turned, and I thought in my mind, was the support person for you. And I mean, a really good example would be, Herbs in Action. It was your idea. It was your process, your thought about it and what you want to do, and it just kind of came together. But the website, the technology, the scheduling, everything that was all something I was building for you. Not the content, you did that. I just had to put it all in a place where a wrapper where you could put everything.
Right.
So adding to that support. Obviously, I want to see you succeed. I'm your partner too, but I'm not the driving force like I am in MudPod.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
For MudPod Design, pretty much where you say we're going is where we're going, and I'm going to do everything I can to support you. But I'm not a graphic designer myself. I don't have that expertise. I really don't know how to sell that. So when people are interested in, having some design work done or having something printed, or, they want to have shirts pressed or whatever it is they might be wanting, they want a new website, they want to know if they can do a sell sheet online or any of these things, I've heard that you can do this. You're going to talk to Patrick about that. I have a tendency to say, oh, yeah, I'm sure he can do that. E-commerce? Yeah, I know he can do that. Database management? Yeah. And then I hand them off to you, and then you figure out whether you really can or not, or if I've just suggested that you might be able to do something that's honestly a programmer's work.
Yeah, which, not in the wheelhouse, for sure.
Right.
For sure.
Join the Herbal Nerd Society. You'll become one of the many wonderful people who support this podcast, and we will very much thank you for it. Join the Herbal Nerd Society at herbalnerdsociety.com.
But, going back to, their beginnings and where they had started and how they were doing it. I mean, it was so funny because, you and I didn't come from herbal backgrounds.
No.
They didn't come from herbal backgrounds.
Right.
Yeah,
that was one of those things that made my heart just so happy, because I'm like, oh, finally somebody who wasn't raised with this, just like I wasn't, and they're so successful and they're so vibrant and they're so knowledgeable. They know what they're doing.
Right.
I aspire to this.
You aspire to be like this. Yes.
Yes.
Well, and they, just like many of the people we've talked to, you trip into things. Someone hands you a book and says, "Hey, you should check this out," and it resonates with you.
Yeah.
You go down that path, or like for her, she basically sounds like she just tripped and fell into Rosemary Glassstar's lap.
Yeah.
And then that really just started her process.
Yeah.
And what they decided to do and how they were going to keep moving forward. And even it seems like how they met was kind of that way. Similar to how you and I met. We met once 6 months prior, and then we met again
and then it clicked.
And then it clicked, but the first time it didn't.
Yeah.
Right. But it's just an interesting way of how we go about this. And then we both get tired of working for the man.
Yeah.
Like they were tired of working for the man.
Yeah.
There's got to be a different way. And, after going through all of the years that we've been doing this, I think the most challenging 4 months has been this year for me.
For you, definitely. I would agree with that wholeheartedly. I've watched you. This has been the biggest struggle for you.
I mean, COVID has been... it's been a litmus test, I think, for many, many businesses.
And many businesses and many relationships. Yeah. Many, partners, business, or what am I trying to say? Marriages, but partnerships, intimate partnerships.
Yeah. It's added a level of stress and a level of financial duress to most of us. And I think if you can get through this as a business owner, you'll probably come out of it stronger. But you still got to have your wits about you, because who knows what's going to come down the pipe. And let's be honest, I mean, they keep saying we're in a recession, but I look at the numbers and I just don't see how we're not in a depression.
I look at the numbers, and I also look at the people around me and what's happening in my community. I'm thinking, looks a little depression-y to me.
Yeah, kind of.
Kind of looks like what I recall my grandparents talking about. It looks a little bit like what I've read about what the Great Depression was like. Little depression-y.
The thing is like in all of the years that I've been doing this, I've gotten calls from other graphic designers for jobs twice.
Right.
Once in 2008 and 2009.
Yep, right after the...
And now.
Yeah.
And I know why they're calling.
Yeah.
Because they have their own unemployment. They got laid off by their company.
Yeah.
Now they're on unemployment, so they have to call to look for work. And I don't know if they even really want the job or not, and I don't have a job to give, unfortunately. But I just find that interesting, and for me, if we can work this right, we might be able to come out a little bit better on this, because to find those companies that have laid people off, they can hire people like me.
Right.
So,
yeah.
But anyway, that's a whole nother discussion. It's just how you navigate the ups and downs through business and how you navigate your ups and downs with your partner, who happens to also be your significant other or marital partner, is a really big minefield.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
I mean, I'll give an example. So it's today, the day recording. Candace, you called. You said, "Hey, can you come home and help with a couple things, and then we can go and we can record the show." And I said, "Yeah," but Candace didn't know where my mind was at all. She had no idea how.
I did have a little trepidation as I was asking. There was a little part of me that was like, "Are you really sure you want to ask him to do this?" But
right?
as the really optimistic individual I am, I said, "Oh, little part, he's fine. He's fine. This will be fun.
Right.
It'll be helpful."
But she didn't know how my morning went. My morning was challenging, and I was in a place when I saw her that I was pretty much like, "I quit. I'm done. I'm out."
Despair.
We're selling the house. We're packing it up. We're going back to Midwest. I'm done. I'm freaking done. I'm out.
Mm-hmm.
And it was really hard because I can't. Midday today, I couldn't see the path to success, and I couldn't see the path out.
Right.
I still can't this moment see that path out, but at least I'm in a better position than I was 3 or 4 hours ago. And that's the thing as a business owner, even a good person, but as a business owner especially, the second you let that take over, you're done. It's over. And no matter how much you try after that, you'll lose steam, you'll lose momentum, and it's almost impossible to get it back into a way that doesn't look like desperation, and people won't hire you.
And people can smell desperation.
and
Business owners can smell desperation. It's not a good smell.
No. And, so my state rubbed off on you.
Yep.
And then you spiraled down.
Yep.
And before you know it, we were in a full-on argument, in a spiral down depressive argument, where in our partnership, if one of us is down, the other one's up, it works, and vice versa.
If we're both up, it works. When we're both down,
things go bad.
Oh, that's not a pretty picture for us.
No. So when we know that about ourselves, so we each try to see what the other one needs in and out, but you didn't know.
I didn't know what I was walking into, that's for certain.
At all, and I didn't let you know, and I thought I could just roll with it, but
that did not work.
A couple things, just all it takes is a little thing to set off a bigger thing.
Well, and you're like Donkey. You wear your emotions right there on your sleeve. So even when you think you're hiding them, you're not.
I know, and I know that is why I'm in a networking group, and I probably won't be president, because even when I'm on, there's a part of me that people will get from me. There's an emotional.
Your emotions will be there.
I mean, I can, and this isn't bragging. I don't brag, but if I walk into a room and I'm really up, I can bring the room up.
Oh yeah.
If I walk into a room and I'm down, that room starts coming with me, and we've all met people like that that do that, and I just happen to be one of them.
Yeah, and it's not just me who said that. A lot of people have commented on that effect that you have.
Right. So, but anyway, with that being said, that was just the place we were at today. And those are the kinds of things that, if you want to do this, that's what you gotta wade through all of this. Yeah.
So if your partner comes home and your partner's in that state of mind, but you don't have a business together, maybe your partner owns the business, maybe you do, maybe you own two separate businesses, but they're not together, or maybe one of you got a different career, or is a stay-at-home parent, whatever. The one who just came home, your partner who just came home, who's in despair, you've got a ballast because your income doesn't come from that same place, or because your self-identity and career doesn't come from that same place.
Right.
Your partner, on the other hand, when you're both in the same business like we are, and one of you's down, suddenly the other one's looking at it going, oh my God, my partner's about to quit. Suddenly my income's going, everything that I was expecting even from the next week, let alone the next year or 10 years or whatever. My 5-year plan has just been blown out of the water. Shoot, even 5 minutes from now, I don't know what I'm doing this afternoon now.
Oh, yeah.
It can really rock your world, which is a challenge.
Right. So what is that? Do not tread lightly into that good night? Is that the Is that the same?
Yeah, do not go lightly into that. Good night.
Yeah.
Rage against the dying of the light.
So here you go. If you want to do this, it's a challenge. It can be amazingly rewarding. It can be awesome.
There's some benefits we haven't talked about. I mean, we're focusing because today was a down day for you.
It was a down day, and
focusing on this hard side of it. But there's also things that are incredible about being in business and being in business with your partner.
Okay, so what are those things?
Well, one of them is the fact that I could call you on the spur of the moment and say, hey, you want to come do this with me?
Yeah.
And you could say, yeah, I can shuffle things around really easily. I'm going to go. And you don't have to punch a clock. You don't have to get permission. There's no documenting your hours off for vacation time, or you just choose to go.
Yeah.
And I can later say when I feel like, oh, wow, I've got this great idea and I really want to run with this. I'm going to get this article. And you're like, honey, it's 8 o'clock at night. I'm going to go to, do this, go to bed or whatever. It's 10 o'clock. I'm going to go to bed. And I can say, yeah, go ahead. I'm going to get this done now. I can sleep late tomorrow.
Right.
I don't have to be up at 7 o'clock in the morning. I can sleep till 10. I can stay up as late as I want. And it's no big deal because I can do that.
We have that when you're self-employed, you typically have a lot more flexibility in your schedule.
Yeah. Especially
in our businesses. I mean, the Practical Herbalist and Realism Radio doesn't really have office hours, and people don't necessarily come from 9 to 5 anytime. It's when we want to run it, how we want to run it, and how we want to do it.
Yeah. You set your own schedule.
Yeah, set your own schedule, which is great.
And when we were raising our son, when he was in the younger years, being able to just take off and say, wow, it's an amazing warm day. The watering hole is going to be perfect.
Oh, yeah. I know how
Tides changed. Perfect.
Yeah,
I'm going to go.
I did that in the middle of the week. 105 degrees up. Finn, we're going swimming.
Yep. I mean, it was like a couple weeks ago, Phyllis Light's talking about the ginseng hunt. And I'm like, yeah, we used to go mushroom hunting. We could just do it. We could just say, hey, it's Wednesday afternoon.
The weather's just right. Mushrooms are popping. We're gone. We're out of here.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's one of the incredible things about running your own business. I mean, sure, you still have to do business. And you can't just run off and do something for an afternoon and then not make up the time, as it were. But you juggle, you manage it. Exactly. When you get a great contract that comes in, or there have been times where I've watched you building a relationship with a new client, and the thrill and the joy and the, dare I say it, ecstasy you get from helping somebody else in their business find the right path for their marketing and then build it, and what the joy they get from watching it come together, and you make it so easy for them. I mean, and the thrill you get from doing that as your partner, it's amazing to be able to watch that and to be a part of that. And I'm only watching it and being a part of it because I'm in business with you.
Right.
When you worked for the company, you had those moments too, like when you were learning digital photography. But I didn't see any of the joy, really, because I wasn't a part of the team.
Right.
And now I'm a part of the team. And even though all I do is the bookkeeping or, simple things, but even though I'm not, directly involved with helping you build this relationship with a client or do the deliverables that they want, I get to be a part of your experience. And it's wonderful. That's something that I wouldn't have as a part of our relationship if we weren't in business together.
Right.
So that's an incredible part of being in business with your partner.
Mm-hmm. That part it is true. That is, that's the fun part. Definitely. And making your own money, making your own wages and making all of that happen. I mean, you can really tangibly say that you did that. Mm-hmm. You sold those things, you provided that service, that client paid you.
Yeah.
And
you set your own rate. You chose how much you got to make.
Yeah.
That's amazing. That's magical, isn't it?
I think, when you're working for other companies, if you're not in a management position or a higher position, you don't get to direct the ship. You don't get to necessarily do those things that I've always found that I wanted to do. I was always in this is where we're going, you have to get us there. Or this is how, we need you to do these things to develop that part to get us to where we're going. But you don't have any say where we're going, that's where we're going.
Right.
And I always wanted to be the guy or the person saying, that's where I want to go. I want to go over there.
Yes.
And I want you guys to get us there.
To figure out how to get us there.
Right.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it's like on the Practical Herbalist for the Herbal Nerd Society. I have had this vision for how I want the articles to be structured, how I want to collect and offer information. Mm-hmm. And being in charge of the business means I get to choose that structure, and I don't have to do all the writing myself. I can say, well, I'm going to hire this person to write for me. You know, right. I'm gonna ask, you know, Alyssa to write this article because I know she'll do a good job and she's going to be able to hit what I want, and I'm going to get where I want to go with her helping me out, or with Christina helping me out, or with Rebecca helping me out. I mean, I get my authors writing, I'm choosing the direction. I can tell them, this is exactly what I'm looking for in an article. Can you produce it? And they do. Mm-hmm. And I don't have to do the writing. I mean, I love writing and I love the writing that I do, but it's empowering to be able to say, this is the structure I want. This is the direction I want to go. My people have asked for these topics and I can see how to put that together, but I don't have to do all the work myself.
Right. So there are a lot of benefits to owning your business. There's a lot of challenges, but at the end, I don't know that I would be happy working for anybody else. So This is what I do.
No, and honestly, listening to Katja and Rin talking, I mean, there's such joy, such peace, and such a joy that they feel. You can hear it in their voices. Mm-hmm. I mean, they love what they do, and it's infectious, you know.
All right, so we did have an herbal question, and this came from our new chat box on the front of the Practical Herbalist. And this is an interesting name. This is from, and I hope I don't butcher this, so I apologize first, Radhika. And Radhika asked, would love to know more about herbs that lower blood pressure. Thank you. It's a pretty open question.
It's a really broad topic.
Right, but there are some, I don't know, what do you want to call them? Quintessential herbs, Candace?
Yeah, there are a few herbs and there are a few strategies that herbalists use to deal with blood pressure. One of the challenges there is, you know, there's so many potential reasons why blood pressure might be high. Right. And so I'm not going to try to figure that out. The first thing to do, obviously, is figure out, why is your blood pressure high? You know, is it a high stress environment that you're living in? Do you have a lot of inflammation? Is it a secondary reaction to pharmaceuticals you might be taking? You know, so many different potential questions. You figure that out with your herbalist. But if you want to look directly at herbs that are typically added as, symptom management, as it were, one of the classic combinations one of the classic herbs that I've seen in Ayurveda is Arjuna, Arjuna. And that one is, and then Hawthorne, which is not necessarily used for high blood pressure in traditional Chinese medicine, but does have a mild blood pressure reducing effect. Mm-hmm. Paired with Arjuna, the two of them offer a really nice, relatively gentle lowering of the blood pressure. So that's like it's called a Dwiyao, or a combination that's effective, and they tend to enhance each other. So Arjuna and Hawthorne, and when you're looking at Hawthorne, you're looking at the leaf, flower, and berry, so all three together. Any combination thereof. I personally just go for all three because I figure it's a good bet. One of the ones that Sue recommended, she has a recipe called the Daily Heart Tonic Tincture Blend. And the herbs that she has in that blend, none of them are specifically directly blood pressure lowering, period. They all aim in the direction, though, of helping with a lot of the underlying causes that are often connected with blood pressure. So one of those would be inflammation, and another one would be digestion. If you have poor digestion, if you have a lot of systemic inflammation, chances are very high you're also going to have high blood pressure. Maybe not. There might be other areas in your body that are messed up as a result, but blood pressure, pretty decent chance. So her formula uses rosemary, ginger, nettle, burdock, and hawthorn. And the hawthorn she's using is the all three, leaf, flower, and berry, which is technically called a haw. But so anyway, this works at stimulating and improving digestion and then helping to reduce some inflammation. Another one that I've used, like when we're talking about improving digestion, would be, add fermented foods to your diet, add probiotics to your diet. Consider using something like a combination of black pepper or pipali with turmeric to help reduce the inflammation part while improving your digestion. You can make a curry, make your food be your medicine, sort of thing. In terms of studies, there's been quite a few different studies on types of herbs and foods that lower blood pressure. One of the ones, and I'll put a link in the show notes, that one of the studies that I liked was really it was a, what do they call that, a overview, where they talk about a lot of different studies and sort of kind of encapsulate what worked, what didn't work. And some of the herbs that they talk about in there include things like garlic, which has a lot of noted properties for reducing blood pressure. Tea, green tea is another big one. Oats. And when they're talking about oats, they're talking about, eating your oatmeal. I'm sure that milky oat tincture could help with reducing blood pressure if your blood pressure is stress reduced or related to your nervous system. Right. But if it's not, then just plain old oatmeal. It's a good idea. They also talked about lavender, and I'm fairly certain the way that lavender is working probably is about releasing stress and reducing overall tension in the body, and therefore improving blood pressure. One of the ones that I thought was really interesting is that they had, in that study, they talked about garlic, tomato, and basil all being really good for lowering blood pressure, which means spaghetti sauce to me. I mean, I don't know about anyone else, but I'm thinking that would be a good way to go. I could eat more spaghetti sauce. If I had high blood pressure, I would be happy to eat more spaghetti sauce to help make that better. Supplements like potassium and magnesium are often helpful for lowering blood pressure. They tend to better balance sodium in your system, and then they help improve nerve function. So that can help. Tulsi and motherwort are often included in formulas for lowering blood pressure, especially if it's related to stress or PMS or hormonal fluctuations. Both of those. Motherwort works on the heart specifically, helping to calm things like heart palpitations and that sort of thing, which can in turn reduce stress on the whole circulatory system. And then Tulsi is one that's often used as a daily herb for managing stress, but also just for the stress of just living, of life, of being alive. It's an adaptogenic herb, so it helps improve functioning of our adrenal glands. And the result is often a little bit of a lowering of blood pressure. The last one that I was thinking about was celery seed. And that one's there's various different studies that have been done on that. I don't know personally, I haven't done the actual try it out and then see how blood pressure changes, so I can't tell you for sure that a specific formula or the amount that would be needed. But I'm thinking probably if you're adding celery seed to your fermented foods or to your meals in general, you're going to be in better shape. Typically with seeds like that, you're not looking at huge, massive amounts that you need to take. A small amount would probably do it. Potentially you could use celery seed to make a nice bitters formula. Take that before and after you eat. A lot of times blood pressure is related to diet and lifestyle.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
So I don't know if that helps, but I hope it does.
All right. Well, as always,
put an herb on it.
The statements made about herbs and products on this podcast have not been evaluated by the United States Food and Drug Administration, FDA, and are not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent disease. All information provided on this podcast or any affiliated websites is for informational purposes only and is not intended as a substitute for advice from your physician or other healthcare professional. You should not use the information on this podcast and its affiliated websites for a diagnosis or treatment of any health problem. Always consult with a healthcare professional before starting any new vitamins, supplements, diet, or exercise program before taking any medication, or if you have or suspect you might have a health problem. Any testimonials, questions, or case studies are based on individual results and do not constitute a guarantee that you will achieve the same results.